Hey guys, I used to love sports, but now I don't. More specifically, I used to love watching football, the Premier League, La Liga, Italian League, Serie A, Ligue 1. I used to watch all those when I was like 12 to maybe 22 or so, more like 24 maybe. But I used to watch them all the time, like religiously. Football was my religion in a way, and Arsenal was my church. I started watching closely in 2005, and that was the year that we won the FA Cup. And one of my favorite players from that time was Fabregas. I still have his jersey from 2007 season. I would still consider myself an Arsenal fan, just not watching every day or every weekend like I used to, following AFTV and all that. I've really fallen out of love with football. I would say up to 2018, I was still a big fan of football, though it was dying a bit with all the advancements of technology and just players being more robotic. There was like a loss of the creativity and flair that really made football what it was. But I remember the Tottenham versus Man City game, and I was really excited for that Champions League, especially with like Ajax playing too. That was a great season. I think that was like one of the last seasons that I really enjoyed. Then the final with Liverpool and Tottenham was just atrocious. If I'm even remembering the finals correctly, it was so long ago. But what football really gave me was something to believe in a way. It was an escape, something to look forward to, something to vibe with friends. We had like a clique of like Arsenal fans, suffering Arsenal fans who had to defend ourselves against these other teams, the Manchester United, when they were actually pretty dominant, when they were dominant at that time. Chelsea, we hated Chelsea so much. I remember when we lost 8-2 to Manchester United, and we lost 6-0 to Chelsea, and we just had to like group up. And it was a bad time, but it gave us something to, bond over the shared wound of Arsene Wenger not like fixing the club or anything like that. So I guess I felt a part of something bigger. And then there was the growth of AFTV, which really allowed us international fans to connect with the fans who were really on the ground and the personalities that were there and all that. But after a while, things started to lose its way. Even when Arteta came and won the FA Cup, that was great. Don't get me wrong, but the soul was just being bled out of it. And I think this talks to a lot of sports recently or in the past decade or the 2020s after COVID. This loss of passion, this obsession with numbers instead of like the art of it, statistically and all that. And I don't think we can like blame it on one or two people like Pep or Klopp or something like that, but because it's like widespread throughout sports, this obsession with analytics instead of like individuality, the collective chess movements instead of artists. And we see this too with like, I talked about this with like the death of the humanities when the soul is removed from everything and just the numbers matters. Nothing really matters. Losing equals maybe some numb pain, and winning doesn't really mean anything really. What if City wins the league one more time? What does that really mean if it's all bought? What if PSG wins the Champions League? What does it mean if it's all bought? What with the rise of Newcastle? What does it mean if it's all Saudi money? If it's all political, if it's all whitewashed, then our clubs and our passion, our time is just a playground for billionaires. And these billionaires even make it clear that they have no intention of winning, that they depend on this fan obsession. So recently, not even recent, so in 2024, I think I just unsubscribed from everything football. I didn't even know that Manchester United came like 15th in the league, which was just great. If I was going to school up, such a great time. But I don't even really care. It's just like doesn't really matter at the end of the day. The only people that I think should really care about sports right now are people that are making money from it, maybe people that are gambling, and the players that are stakeholders themselves. But if fans are like wasting their time going to matches, waking up early in the morning for these clubs that don't really care about anything, and I do get that like you're gonna have new fans because like fans from the olden days could say like football died in the 90s and we came along and my generation came along and we're just picking up the scraps of what was left. And I think it's even worse now. Another realization that I came to is that just at the base level of all of it, it's just like a cartoonish tribalism and a distraction from our real issues that are economic issues, the class issues that it's just more circus and it's circus and bread, man. It's not really worth anything at the end of the day. You have all this loyalty, but nothing is given in return. It's the next opiate for the masses, and people in pain are still cheering. People that are have no friends only get to have some camaraderie with this, and we see this with the interviews too. We get a real insight into that. Like a lot of these people are hurting. A lot of them are dealing with issues and they seek some escape through this. And I get that. I get that in a way. It's similar to like alcoholism and drugs or something in a way. Maybe it's a lesser drug, some socialization, maybe it's something that like you did with your family or something. But I think we should like try to strive for something more, something real, or even just like maybe take back what football actually meant before it got corrupted by the corporate elements and these billionaires and the TV deals and everything like that. That's what I'm thinking. And if you're saying like, what did I replace it with? I guess I replaced it with. I just didn't have a lot of time recently, but I'd say I replaced it with like running or just working on my physical fitness, writing and stuff like that. You know, working on your internal world, and that's not like trying to like layer over the cracks with this sense of like being a part of something that is made of plastic and cardboard, really. You know, I think maybe maybe I just outgrew it. Maybe I woke up to this thing, but and again, it was like screaming in my face, so it was pretty hard to ignore from what I saw or what I used to watch when I was a kid, watching Burnley versus Brighton, when Brighton weren't even creative. Burnley and Stoke or matches like that, I even enjoyed those terrible matches, terrible football. For some reason, there was like a trueness, a trueness to the grit to what the players were doing. But nowadays, it's just like 10 men behind the ball or passing, 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 or how far did he run? What was the XG for that? And oh, was that a goal? Was he offside? And I just rather suffer on purpose than watch others chase shadows or whatever, man. And these guys are billionaires at the end of the day, and these guys are millionaires and billionaires at the end of the day, and we don't have any money, and our attention and our time is the most valuable things that we have. So we have to keep it. We have to look to ourselves instead of these external things, building up our internal worlds, trying to make our external world reflect what we have in our minds, what it should be, things that we project onto this football or whatever other sport, mixed martial arts that is also done with the UFC or the NBA, which is just 3 pointers now. This sense of like loyalty and friendship and grit and power within ourselves that we want to project onto other people, the players, or with the fans that we gain this sense. I think we should like divert these attentions and these energies into something more productive that for ourselves. And those are my thoughts on that in a way. A bit rambly, but this is what I think.